All right, everybody, welcome back to the journey. This is going to be a tough video. Um, been thinking about doing this for about a month and a half since I went into my depression and got out of that 2.5 weeks of depression and started hearing back from everybody from when I talked a little bit about my depression, what was going on. And over the past month and a half, it's been a lot of stories, a lot of things happening. And I just want to try to get a little bit of motivation out there for everybody and try to get you to see things in another light, because I know when depression sets in, when life gets hard, it feels like, when it rains, it pours. We always say that. Or we say everything's falling apart, or I'm losing everything. But when you're losing everything, it's just a start. That's how we need to think. It's not, we're losing everything, and it's going to keep getting bad. You can only go down to rock bottom. Once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. Once you're at the base layer, just like a roller coaster, when a roller coaster hits that bottom, the only way a roller coaster can go is up. Whether backwards up or forwards up, it's always in the up position. So I've been getting a lot of you reaching out. I've had a lot of people on Facebook reaching out. I've had phone calls, emails, text messages, no letters for this subject. But I want to go over a broad spectrum of what I've been hearing. I'm not putting names to anybody, but I am going to throw, situations that people are going through, so you can compare your situation, that your situation might not be that bad. There's people that are going through worse. So I have a whole lot of people, and I'm just going to go with a broad spectrum to start with. The millennials. Okay? You look at the millennials, and we grew up, if you were born in like the 80s, early 90s, but we were born and grew up with the good, wholesome family life, the stability in most cases until like the late 90s, early 2000s, when all the parents started going through divorce. And our world has never gone back to what it used to be. Then you look at Gen X and the boomer generation, look at their lives compared to going from communities and everything to society now, and how their whole way of life has been destroyed. Anybody past the millennials, they don't know any of the good old days, what used to be. It's a whole different world. But with all these people reaching out, I've had anywhere from boomers to Gen X to millennials to Gen Z, I guess, or whatever's after me and younger. I've had somebody call and tell me after 28 years they've lost their job, got laid off. And it touches me because I've listened to some of these people cry on the phone to me, so it's difficult. I've had somebody that just lost their brother at a young age. I did not want to cry on this video. I've had people being laid off, a lot of people being laid off. I've got somebody going through a foreclosure. I have somebody that I know personally that I met now just had a family member shoot their horse. The list goes on. People in depression, people that are struggling, people that are on the edge, like I was in 2009 with the whole mental suicide type thing, thinking about, just thinking that life's a lot easier. If you're not here, they don't have to worry about bills. Um, just all different things people are going through. So I want everybody to start thinking. You've got to get your mind in the right place. You've got to get your heart in the right place. You've got to get your soul in the right place. And the biggest thing of all is purpose. We are losing that as a civilization. We no longer aim to have a purpose on this planet. We do these 9-to-5 jobs. I've talked about this forever. And we're not finding a purpose in life. It's just a repetitive set of emotions, repetitive set of physical activities every day. And when that changes and we lose that, then it feels like we're losing everything. And then we get into the depression, and we get into, I'm guilty of it, turning on music that hits deep in the soul, and you just get filled with those sad emotions, and you get farther and farther down. And then, like with me, because I'm a semi-public figure, like I said, I'm not a big channel or nothing, but when you have all these people reaching out to you and telling you these stories, it's just not my emotions that I carry with the struggles I go through in my life, but then I listen to all these struggles everybody else is going through. So it's kind of like the Green Mile, for those of you that seen that movie, with the big black actor that is able to heal people, but it hurts him. And when you listen to all these people and you want to interact with all these people like I do, I could ignore phone calls, I could ignore messages. I don't do that. But because I want to be there and listen, their pain becomes part of my pain as well. And it's just, you want to have that person, have that mentality, have that vision, have that purpose again, so that they can start climbing their way back up. I mean, going through a foreclosure, I've been there. It's not an easy thing. If you have children and a family, it's even worse. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine what they're going through. Where do you turn? What do you do? You've just got to take one day at a time. Another thing that we're stuck in is this mentality that we've been raised through generations that, if we have a 1/4 acre, we always dream of a 1/2 an acre. If we have 1/2 an acre, we dream of 3/4 acre, so on and so forth. We always want more. And that's the problem. We overstretch ourselves, or we try to think that we can manage something as big. Like with me, I have all these animals, spending now $2,700 a month in feed. It's a big burden. A lot of these people, they went and bought these nicer houses, they bought cars, laptops, $1,000 iPhones, and so on and so forth, and they've overstretched themselves thinking that job is always going to be there, or that spouse is going to be there to support, or the family is going to be there to support. You never know what's going to happen. And like I said, I've had people call and I've talked to that are losing their jobs after being at the job for only a couple years. I've had a boomer, 28 years at a job that they lost their job, someone that's going through foreclosure right now, losing a brother. I don't have a brother, so I wouldn't know what that's like. I could only imagine, especially if, you're really, really close to that brother. It's just, it's a lot of people that they feel like they're losing everything, but it's not everything. It's, when you're sick, you feel horrible, and when you get better, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad, because you're over it. And these things are a struggle. When I lost everything, when I became homeless, you've got to understand, I went from very nice things to homeless overnight. And that's why I think, in a way, I'm able overnight to just do what I do. Like in Colorado, I overnight decided I'm leaving Colorado. I was finally fed up with the depression and all the BS and everything I was going through. Just pack up and leave overnight. Now I look back, it wasn't as bad as what was in my mind. Just like watching that video, I'm throwing in the towel, or whatever the title was to that video, when I left Colorado. It was very, very difficult at the time. I broke down crying on the video. I was at my wit's end. I didn't know which way to go, what to do. I lost what I wanted to do. I lost that purpose. I wanted to give back to the community, wanted to do the petting zoo and see smiling faces and be able to grow my homestead and do things into the future. And that all came crashing down. And then I came out here and I was living in the shed, no electric, no water again. And third time starting over from scratch. And now I'm here in the restaurant and I'm back to not depression. The tears earlier was from these conversations I have on the phone. These people just rip your heart out, especially when they start crying on the phone to you. Because half these people I don't even know. I mean, half these people I talk to, I've never met in person. Some of these people that call and talk, I've only talked once or twice. I've talked to people in Chile. I've talked to people in Ireland. I've talked to people all around the world. Some people I'll never ever meet. But just to hear their stories and be able to be there for them to get that off their chest, because a lot of people nowadays are stuck in society. We're not community. Nobody seems to care about anybody else but them. If somebody wants to sit here and talk to you, most people are like, oh, I'm too busy. I don't have the time. And I understand, like I talked about in the Sunday Monday vlog, our time is the most valuable thing. So you do have to pick where you want to give your time. 5 minutes of your life doesn't seem that much. But if you only have 10 minutes on this planet, that 5 minutes might not want to be used. But in that same aspect, you have to think about purpose. And that 5 minutes that you give up to that person, to listen to them cry on the phone to you, to get that emotion out and try to get better thoughts in their head for them to come back around and do good in their life, you did something on this planet. You weren't just stingy about yourself, my time, and you left and didn't help nobody. And I think that's another one of the major things that they destroyed for community when they brought society in, is the community building, the community helping, being there to better others and not just yourself. Where a lot of communities that people try to build don't work anymore, because you have a community garden and you have 60% of the people that just want to come and get vegetables and only 40% that want to do all the work, and they watch all their work just disappear. Back in the day, everybody worked together. Barn raisings, house raisings, building schoolhouses together. We don't do that anymore. We're not there to help each other. We're out to help ourselves. So if you have people that call you and you're not social like me, if you don't like drama like me, you also got to think you could be saving that person. I can't tell you how many times that when back in 2009, right before I tried my whole suicide thing, how nobody cared. There were some times that I made it blatant that I was just in the worst mindset to just get somebody to reach out to me, because you don't just go up and say, hey, I feel like killing myself. It just doesn't work that way. Um, you know, a lot of people say they don't see the signs, but I threw out some distinct signs, and people never saw it, or people didn't care, or I would call at a random hour and that person was too busy to talk or anything. Those different conversations, you know, could have saved me if what I did was successful. There's a lot of other people, they make those phone calls. And that's why, as long as I'm not asleep, because I sleep through anything, or I don't have my phone on me, I answer the phone. Because you never know who it could be, who needs an ear, a shoulder, or whatever to lean on. Somebody that just needs that smile, be happy, it's going to be okay, to know that there's something to look forward to, that it's not the end, it's just the start, it's the beginning of the new journey. Every journey ends, but it doesn't have to all end at once. It's a learning experience to make you stronger and tougher for your next journey. Just like the baby steps or stairwell. That step ends. It doesn't end completely because it's still attached to your next step up. You've got to have the steps to know where you came from and new steps to where you're going. If you are struggling, if things are crashing around you, if you're losing your job, if you're whatever you're going through. I mean, there's a million different things people could go through. I know somebody from Colorado several months ago that just had to have another amputation done. There's a million different ways people's lives are going down the tube or becoming worse that you don't know about, that you may not think about. I've had calls in the past month and a half that somebody lost their dog that they've had from a puppy. Had other people that have lost a herd of goats because somebody decided to throw bush clippings over their fence out in Kentucky. And it was, I want to say, boxwood or something, which is highly toxic to goats. And all the goats died. The person thought they were helping their neighbor out, well, not neighbor, but helping somebody out by feeding their animals, and ended up killing all their goats. So you never know what people are going through, what struggles can come up. But you've got to start being a community again. We've got to start helping, not becoming the crabs in a crab pot pulling crabs down. We need to be lifting each other up. We need to listen to each other. We need to help try to find that purpose for other people. If you talk and listen to people, find out what their goals are, what their dreams are. What do they want to see going forward? And try to help guide them in that direction so they're not just stuck, in depression and going downhill. If you don't listen to them, if you don't help them find their purpose again, and this is another reason why a lot of vets, look at vets, cops, firefighters, the list goes on and on. But the biggest one is the military. Military does a lot of stuff that no other civilian knows or could picture even doing. So a lot of vets have to deal with that. That's why that's now called PTSD and other stuff they call it. And they lose their purpose. When you're in the military and you're in this group, and every day you have a regiment, every day you're doing a schedule. When they come back to the civilian world and they lose that, they lose the camaraderie, they lose that structure, they lose that regiment, they don't know how to act. Just like some of these boomers out there that I've talked to that are losing their jobs, that they're used to getting up 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning to be to work. And they've been doing it for a year or 5 years, or in one of the boomers' case, 28 years. How do you go from 28 years of doing that day in and day out to it being gone? That's another reason why homesteading has been around for a long, long time. And with homesteading, you find out a lot of ups, you find out a lot of downs. I've lost animals. I've had babies trampled, babies frozen. I've had neighbors' dogs and neighbors' cats kill my animals. We have a lot of heartache homesteading. However, as long as financially you can continue homesteading, you don't have to worry about being laid off after 2 years of homesteading. You don't have to worry about being laid off in 28 years of homesteading, because your time is your time. You're not giving it to somebody else. And those 9-to-5 jobs and other jobs on the road trucking, you go and you're driving across the country, you never have a real home, or nothing that really feels like a real home, because you're constantly going. Then all these truckers just got laid off. How do you think they feel? What do you think they're going through? That they're used to traveling. Now they're most likely sitting at home, as long as they don't go through a foreclosure, and sitting on a couch and probably getting cabin fever, just like I'm doing here. Constantly moving stuff around in the restaurant here, because we're 120 degrees plus every day with the heat index, and it's too hot to do anything. We've got to find that purpose. It's very, very hard being inside a house, sitting on your couch, to find a purpose. Watching TV, entertainment, there's only so much you can take. You've got to have a purpose. You have to find something to do. You have to be motivated. You have to get moving. That's why a lot of our great-great-great-great-grandparents lived into their hundreds, 90s, 80s, hundreds. A lot of people aren't living that long now. A lot of my step-grandparents and things like that, I watched get sick when they sat down in a recliner and retired early and said, I'm not doing any type of work anymore. If you don't constantly get moving, if you don't constantly have something, a purpose to conquer, your mind goes. When your mind goes, your body goes. And then everything's over and done with. You don't want that. You don't want to work this 9-to-5 job, retire, and then everything goes kaput because you decide to sit on a couch. You decide not to have a purpose. That's why a lot of people that retire, they always come out of retirement, or they find a hobby to keep busy working, gardening, flowers, trains, all different things. Because you can't just sit in your house like you think you can sit in your house. It's nice after working a long day to sit on the couch and watch a couple hours of TV or movies and relax. But if you do that day in and day out, you get that cabin fever. So I highly recommend everybody try to get out there and talk to people. I know a lot of places that's not a thing. It was very hard for me moving here to Arkansas. It's still a little bit hard for me. I just went to the post office 2 days ago, and the guy kept having eye contact with me, and then he started talking to me, and then we ended up in a full conversation. It's just I grew up in society for so long, it's very hard for me to do that. But here, you know, people want to talk to you. People want to know who you are. People want to see how you're doing. That's what you need to do. That's what all of us need to do. I still struggle with it. Been here a little over 3 years now. But I do get into the conversation. I'm not one for starting conversation. That's probably going to take me a decade. Because, once again, I'm not a social person. But we should. We all should be starting conversations, you know, with the person in the grocery line. I know that doesn't happen as much now. Why? Because it's computers. It disconnects us even farther, because everybody isn't waiting in a line for this one register for this lady that goes slow scanning your items. We all want that quick checkout, get away from people, don't want to deal with people, and it's over. That's the disconnect that we're having. That's what society has brought in. That is that 90% bad change that my great-grandfather talked about. 10%, it's good. We can get in, we can get out grocery store. We're not stuck in grocery store. The 90% bad, we're disconnecting ourselves all the more. And now what's happening? This not even go in the store. This just pick it up curbside. Hurry up, hand me my bags, and drive off. Don't even talk to the person most of the time, and just get out and go. We're putting ourselves into a bubble. And those bubbles are getting harder to penetrate. And when the depression sets in, these people don't know how to get out the bubbles. These people don't know how to open the bubbles. And everybody else doesn't even know how to approach the bubble. We've got to be careful where we're going as society, as civilization, as the world. If you have community, be a part of it. Try to do just one small thing, like me trying to film the quorum court meetings, just to try to bring part of the community to another part of the community. Whatever you can do, find something, find a purpose. Help lift people up, help talk to people. If you're at a gas station, talk to somebody. It's something we all should really we all need to, and we should be, and we should want to do again, is the communication. We lack communication. We lack connectivity. We put on rubber shoes so we're not connected to the earth anymore. We invent all these electronics so we don't have to look at anybody anymore. We have phones and computers in our hands so we don't have to eat dinner with our family anymore. Talk about how our days went, what stress we're going through, how to find our purpose after a bad day. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to be making a video on how we're Scottish. We're not Americans anymore. It's a thing I've been thinking about doing, and it's how everything is being changed, and we're losing our way, and we're losing everything. And we have this new start. Where we take this new start, where this new step leads to, could be a trash chute, or it could be a higher staircase. You have to choose, each and every one of us, where we go, what we do, what we say, what we want our purpose to be on this planet before we're gone. Do you want to know you left this planet helping at least one person? Or do you want to go knowing you only helped yourself? These are things we got to think about. These are decisions we each have to make on our own. For me, I want to try to help I've had a lot of helping hands through my life, from when I became homeless and I had my mom and my pa, my neighbors, not my real mom and pa, just two random strangers that decided to do an act of kindness and took me into their house, into their home, fed me, gave me a place to sleep, gave me a place to bathe, gave me a place to eat, all free of charge, because they wanted to see the better in me. They wanted to see me succeed. Then I had Jeff, that lived in Georgia, that owned the ranch in Colorado. I had $750 a month income from the VA. And he was willing, on a $165,000 property, to take a $250 rent to own chance on me, where $100 a month went to the mortgage. Yes, $150 just went to interest. But guess what? We all pay rent. You know, I could have been paying a lot more for rent. But he had faith in me for that year and a half to get money together to have a down payment to get into owner finance. I've had so many people throughout my time, even the lady Lisa that owned this restaurant, that when me and my ex was going through what we went through and I had to be out because it became a toxic situation, she let me move in with her until I could close on the restaurant, until she could find somewhere to go. It goes on and on. I can't tell you how many people throughout my life that have been there, that have helped me. And that's why I always say I have some of the worst luck in the world, but I also have some of the best luck in the world. And without having the bad luck, you don't know how good the good luck is. And without the good luck, you don't know how bad the bad luck is. So no matter how bad things get, they can always get better. We can always change our path. We can always sidestep. We can step up. We can step back. We can take another path, a new journey. But we've got to stay positive. We've got to find a purpose. We've got to have our goals. If you don't have goals, write out a list of goals. Small goals. My goal for tomorrow is to wake up. Small goal. Start there. You wake up in the morning, what's your next goal? I want to have a healthy breakfast. If you're a breakfast person, I don't eat breakfast, so that's not a goal for me. But if you want to have a good breakfast, then have that as your second goal. You want to wake up 30 minutes early so you can have a good breakfast and not just a Snickers bar and a can of Coke. That's where it all starts. Small, small steps. Make some decisions. Help somebody out. Help yourself out. But don't make it all about yourself. Just want to bring some thoughts to everybody on what I've been going through for about a month and a half now, since I went through my depression, and hearing everybody's stories and what they've gone through. And if anybody out there, my information's always in the description down below. My Facebook's out there. Of course, YouTube's there, Instagram. I'm not really an Instagram person. I just throw photos up. But I'm here. If anybody needs somebody to talk to, like I said, if I'm not sleeping, or if I'm not on the homestead and my phone's in the truck, or I'm on the phone with somebody else, I'll always answer my phone. Because I never know who that person could be. I never know what dire situation I could be helping them avoid. I don't know what life I could be saving, or just being the ear that that person needs at that time to vent and move on with their day and leave the bullshit behind. So I encourage each and every one of you out there to make your decisions, to try to talk to people, try to help people, to write your own goals, find your own purpose in life, and don't depend on the 9 to 5 job. Don't depend on the husband, wife, partner, whatever you want to call it, that brings in your income. Don't count on the apartment you're renting, that it's always going to be $1,000 a month or $500 a month. Rent increases are going up, mortgages are going up, price of everything is going up. Don't take anything for granted. Start talking to your neighbors. Start building that community. Start raising homes together. Start raising barns together. Start raising family together. If you have a family, I'm not a father, so I really don't have nothing to say. But I will say, growing up having conversation, I never liked it. But it's a whole lot better than everybody on their phones. Why not have a basket that everybody has to silence their phones? Start talking to your children. Start talking to your parents. Start talking to your grandparents. You never know what conversation can help de-stress them. What conversation can help unmangle their minds. What conversation could give them clarity? What conversation could bring them happiness? These are decisions we should start making. With that, I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you everybody that joined in. Thank you everybody for thumbs up and future conversations I'm sure I'll have with some of you. And I hope, whether I hear from you or not, whether you ever watch my videos again or not, I hope you guys find your true happiness. I hope you find your purpose in life. I hope this video helps those of you that are on here late at night. And this is another reason why I did this video late at night, is because there's a lot of people that struggle through the night that don't have people to talk to because everybody else is in bed to wake up to do their 9 to 5. I'm up 2, 3 in the morning most nights. If you need somebody to call, you need somebody to text, if you want to send me a letter, a card, a note, all my information's in the description below. With that, I hope everybody has a great night, and like always, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. Get out there, help people. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.